Hey, yo, you want to make that same mistake that I made yesterday? Go live, but not actually be recording. Man,
Please leave your message for 5.
Marilyn's playing with me, bro. I don't like that. Playing with me. Let's see who else I was gonna call today. Just gonna call this guy. This guy texted me yesterday. I think he may be playing with me though. I'm not quite sure. As in, I think he is just like leading me on through text, which is what one other guy did yesterday. If you watch that one, I called him after going back and forth a few times, and then I think he didn't expect me to call him. I don't think. And then when I started asking, he, he dropped the act, and he just let me know that I had the wrong number. He thought he was being funny through text, but then when I actually got on the phone with him, I think he bitched out and he's started. Oh no, you had the wrong number. It's like, okay, so that was you who was playing games with me through text, or you know what I mean? I forget exactly what he was saying, but he said that yeah, he wants to sell and that he wanted. Uh, he didn't have any like expectation of timeline as to when he'd like to get it done. So then he stopped texting me. I think after like one to two more texts. So then I called him, and then he was like, "Oh no, no, you got the wrong number." Okay, so people will do that. I'm finding. I mean, I've heard horror stories of people going to the extent of actually setting an appointment with these people and showing up to the property, and then the actual property owner being there. Like, why the hell are you here? Like, who told you to show up? What? Uh, Only to then realize and find out, like, oh, that wasn't you who was texting us. Oh, we got worked over. We got played with. So I'm trying my best. I've heard horror stories, to that extent, but I've also heard, the stories of people just doing what I experienced yesterday, just like playing with you, and they're gonna text you back because they feel like you've wasted their time. They get 20 texts a day for this property that they don't own, and you just caught them in the right time where they felt like they had the time to play with you. And so that's what I did yesterday. I think this guy may be doing the same thing. He I texted him, and I'll tell you why I think this, because he's so he's overly uh showing interest. He's showing interest too much, so I think. So I asked, "Hey, have you given any thoughts of parting ways with your address? Can we talk about it?" And he said, "Yes, I want to sell." I said, "Great. Did you have an idea of how soon you'd want to sell?" And he said, "Today?" Question mark. And I said, "Did you have a moment to speak?" And he stopped texting me. And then I called him and he didn't answer. So I'm gonna call him again today because I talked to him yesterday. Again, I'm just not letting up with these people. I don't care if they, you know what I mean. I'm gonna call them and find out if they're playing with me before I don't call them back.
Please leave your message for 83240.
Um, no answer. It sounded like he ended the call early. Didn't even allow it to really ring out and go to voicemail. It sounded like he hung up, ended the call before it fully rang out, and now I'm gonna call him again. I'm telling you, I'm not letting up. These people think. I don't know what they thought.
Please leave your message for 8.
See, he probably knows. I mean, that's one ring disconnect. So I'll follow up with a text real quick saying, "Hey, Ramiro, uh, um, let me know when the best time. Let me know when it's time to give you a call is. I'd love to learn a bit about your property on Linda Drive and get you an offer. You know when the best time to give you a call is. I'd love to learn a bit about your property on Linda Drive and get you an offer." For now, I'm going to just keep him as a follow up. Push this out like just till the end of the week, like Friday. And if he hasn't texted back by Friday, I'm going to say seller texted back question mark. If not, place in a follow up campaign. Hold warm. And when I'm referring to a follow up campaign, I'm referring to a campaign that I already have templated out. That's just like my general, 20-day campaign to start, contacting these people. If they text back and they show a little bit of interest, depending on how much interest they show, and they like stop texting back like this, I'm going to place them into a different drip campaign. Um, Again, depending on how hot the lead is. So if they're like, I'm interested, but not right now, I'll probably place them in one campaign. If they're like, yeah, I want to sell, um, ASAP, but I haven't given them an offer and they stop texting, stop answering, I'll place them in another campaign. If they're like, yeah, I want to sell and I've given them an offer, but they haven't accepted it, I might place them in another campaign. And those campaigns will say different things throughout the course of the campaign. That kind of is tailored to that person's specific interest level or the point of the process in which we've gotten, like I was just mentioning. So let me give Marilyn another call back real quick. If she doesn't answer, I don't know what the hell she's doing. She told me she doesn't have any doctor's appointments today and to give her a call at 12 noon. I just called her at 11:59 a.m. And now I'm going to call her at 12:07 p.m. And if she does answer, I'm going to try to get real with her.
Please leave a message for 5.
I'll leave her a message right now.
57332. Sorry, mailbox is full. To send it.
Well, that's that. So let me document that. Should I text her? I think I might text her. Notes, double tapped, opportunity to leave voicemail. Trippy. My lamp is like one of those touch ones that you can touch and it'll increase the brightness, but it also has USB outlets in it. And sometimes when I go to touch my phone, it will actually turn the lamp on. It's not doing it right now, but anyways. Thinking about texting her right now, like, hey, hopefully you're not pulling my leg. Um, like I mentioned, I really did only have approval for the 145 when we were speaking on Saturday night. My finance manager is okay with extending that, but it's going to come, we're coming close to a point in time where, uh, we may have to start exploring other options if you're not wanting to move forward right now. Like I said, we're trying to buy something. We're very serious about trying to buy something before the end of the year. Um, so just let me know one way or another. If you don't want to sell, that's completely fine. I just need to know so that I can reallocate these funds. What do you think? Should I say that? I think I'm going to say that. Because yeah, she's playing with me. You can't tell me to call you at exactly a time 2 days in a row, and then when I call you at that exact time, um, you don't answer or you're busy or you know what I mean. That's not how you do business. So I'm gonna text her and say something like that. Marilyn, uh, just missed you again. Hopefully you're not pulling my leg here. Hey Marilyn, I just missed you again. Hopefully you're not pulling my leg here. Um, like I mentioned, we're very serious about wanting to buy one more property before the end of the year. Uh, Hey Marilyn, just missed you again. I just missed you again. Hopefully you're not pulling my leg here. Uh, and you do want to sell. I'm gonna say hopefully you're not pulling my leg here. She knows why. Like I mentioned, we're very serious about wanting to buy one about we're very serious about buying one more property before the end of the year. Um, so if you're not ready to move forward, uh, I understand. Um, if you could please let me know one way or another so that can um, we had set aside this 145K for you though, so if you could please let me know one way or another, um, that way we can reallocate these funds, um, and explore uh, options. Marilyn, I just missed you again. Hopefully you're not pulling my leg here. Like I mentioned, we're very serious about buying one more property before the end of the year. So if you're not ready to move forward, I understand. We had set aside this 145,000 for you on Saturday, though. So if you could please let me know one way or another, that way we can reallocate these funds and explore our options. Uh, I'm gonna send that, and then I'm gonna double text her and say, I'll keep these funds set aside for you for another 24 hours, but if we haven't moved forward um, by then, I'll keep this fund set aside for you for another 24 hours. But if we haven't moved forward by then, we will may keep pulling the trigger on another property that we're checking out. Keep these funds set aside. I'll set these. I'll keep these funds set aside. Uh, keep these funds set aside for you for another 24 hours. But if we haven't moved forward by then, we may be pulling the trigger on another property that we're checking out. So please let me know what you were wanting to do. As I would hate to lose out on the opportunity to help you out because due to a scheduling conflicts. I'm trying to make it like nice and make it seem like she's not dodging me and trying to assume that what she's telling me is truthful. So I'm trying to like paint that picture in my text. I'll keep these funds set aside for you for another 24 hours, but if we haven't moved forward by then, we may be pulling the trigger on another property that we're checking out. So please let me know what you're wanting to do, as I would hate to lose out on the opportunity to help you out due to scheduling conflicts and lack of communication. No, I'm just going to leave it at scheduling conflicts. So texted her that. So I double texted her saying, "Hey Marilyn, I just missed you again. Hopefully you're not pulling my leg here. Like I mentioned, we're very serious about buying one more property before the end of the year. So if you're not ready to move forward, I understand. We had set aside this 145,000 for you on Saturday though. So if you could please let me know one way or another. That way we can reallocate these funds and explore our options. I'll keep these funds set aside for you for another 24 hours, but if we haven't moved forward by then, we may be pulling the trigger on another property that we're checking out. So please let me know what you're wanting to do, as I would hate to lose out on the opportunity to help you out due to scheduling conflicts." I'll leave it at that, and take note that I texted her as well. Push this. I'm going to try her again this afternoon when I get home. And then if I don't connect with her, I'm going to try her a couple more times tomorrow. And then if I don't hear from her tomorrow, I'm going to chalk it up as a loss. And I'm going to just start pushing the follow-ups out a little bit more infrequently, so that I'm not calling her every single day. You know what I mean? Because that's just going to waste my time if she's going to keep dodging me and keep rescheduling and keep, let me know when you're wanting to sell. I'm not, this isn't not holding a gun to your head and telling you that you have to answer my phone calls and that you have to sell, that you have to sign here. But you were asking for 150. You said that you'd take 145, and I said that I would give it to you. So, what's really going on? Tell me what's up. It's the lack of communication that really frustrates me. And that's why I tried to say things like that. Like, look, you're not gonna hurt my feelings. I'm a little late. What happened with her? She didn't answer. I double tapped her, called her twice, didn't answer. Texted her twice. I'll read you the text again real quick, because now I'm just kind of like, because I couldn't leave. I was getting ready to leave her a voicemail saying that pretty much what I said in my text, but her mailbox is full. So I texted her and I said, "Hey Marilyn, I just missed you again. Hopefully you're not pulling my leg here. Like I mentioned, we're very serious about buying one more property before the end of the year. So if you're not ready to move forward, I understand. We had set aside this 145,000 for you on Saturday though. So if you could please let me know one way or another, that way we can reallocate these funds and explore our options. I'll keep these funds set aside for you for another 24 hours, but if we haven't moved forward by then, we may be pulling the trigger on another property that we're checking out. So please let me know what you're wanting to do, as I would hate to lose out on the opportunity to help you out due to scheduling conflicts." So again, I don't know what to think of it. I'm not going to really think too much into it at all. I'm just going to continue filling the pipeline. Really, if anything, it's a lesson for that alone, is to not rely on one specific lead. And I never did rely on her. It's just frustrating, came to an agreement, and now she's kind of playing games. And now today it's that that made it official for me that she's playing games. 2 days. I mean, it's one thing to say, call me at this. I mean, on Saturday, she said, call me Monday at this time. I called her Monday at that time. She didn't answer. Um, I called her like an hour after, and she answered and said, "Oh, sorry, I had a doctor's appointment. And it's not a good time right now either. Call me tomorrow at this time." I called her tomorrow at that time, and she had another random doctor's appointment that she forgot she had when she told me to call her at that specific time the day before. So then I was like, "Okay, well, when are you free?" I don't have any doctor's appointments tomorrow. Call me at this time. And then I call her at that time twice, and she doesn't answer. So that's it's confirmed to me that she's playing with me, um, which is sad. I hope that I wasn't the reason why she feels like she can't just be honest with me. That's kind of what I was saying when you hopped in here, Jared. Like, I try my very best to, and this is what I'm gonna do if I do get her on the phone. Like, look, this is all, sales stuff aside. Like, I don't want you to sell me your house if you don't want to. Do you feel like I'm coercing you, or do you feel like I'm forcing you to sell me this house? Because I don't want that to be the case. You texted me back with a number that you wanted. You said that you would take 145, and that's what I'm giving you. So I just don't understand where the disconnect is. I'm like I said, and that's what I wanted to mention as well. And the reason I said some of the stuff that I said in my text is because I prefaced it in conversation that I had with her before. I was telling her, look, we're trying to buy one more property before the end of the year to create that sense of urgency. Like, essentially, we need to pull the trigger on something within the next few days if we want to close before the holidays. Um, so it's not like unreasonable for me to say that, like, hey, look, we're serious about buying one more property. I set this money aside for you. I told you we can only buy one, and we came to an agreement. So, the last thing that I would want to do is for us to come to an agreement and then me go run behind your back and go buy another property. But that's what I'm gonna have to do if you keep kind of pushing this to the wayside. Oh yeah, playing games. Just can't spend too much time on her. Keep following up though. Exactly. So I'm gonna try to. I called her twice already. Texted her. Those were two texts that I sent her. Um, I know she gets my text because she texted me back at one point twice. So I'm gonna call her. I'm gonna try to call her um, later this afternoon when I get back home. And if she doesn't answer, then I'm going to try her a few more times tomorrow because I told her again that I'm giving her 24 hours. So tomorrow will kind of be like that deadline. So I might even call her like morning, midday, afternoon tomorrow, like just go hard on the follow-ups with her, kind of bug her. Because again, it's not unreasonable for me to do that. I don't think based on the stuff that I'm saying to her, uh, it'll appear as if I'm trying to give her that last chance, and I may even sprinkle some text in tomorrow if she doesn't get back to me today, or if I don't connect with her today. Like, hey, look, like I said, like, we're gonna have to spend this money. I want to give you like that shot, like, and just kind of say the things that I'm saying right now. So, um, yeah, done with her for now. Interested to see how she responds. It's really frustrating. This is a deal that I'm gonna do. I'm gonna close this deal. Uh, no doubt in my mind. It's just gonna be a matter of when. And she could continue doing this for forever. You know what I mean? It's probably about the money. She probably wants more money. She's not gonna get it. 145 is so tight as is. Um, I mean, I may be able to come up, but I would just hate to do that because she's playing games too. I mean, that's not what I want to do. Maybe able to come up to 150. It's so tight though. Anyways, I had just called somebody else too, Ramiro. Um, he was a gentleman that had texted me back yesterday, but I think he was also playing with me through text, which is something you got to be careful about. I'm kind of speaking to you specifically, Jared. I had already mentioned this before you hopped in here, but the text conversation went like this between me and him. Yesterday, I reached out. I said, "Hey, have you given any thoughts on parting ways with your address? Can we talk about it?" He said, "Yes, I want to sell." And I said, "Great. Did you have an idea of how soon you'd want to sell?" And he said, "Today?" Question mark. And I said, "Did you have a moment to speak?" He didn't text back. I called him, no answer. Just now, I double called him, double tapped him, no answer. In fact, he actually hung up. The first time I dialed him, it rang like 3 times, and he ended it. It's pretty obvious when somebody like denies the call as opposed to letting it ring out and you get their voicemail. And then I called him right after that again, and it rang once, and he ended it. So I think he was playing with me yesterday. And I texted him. I said, "Hey, Ramiro, let me know when the best time to give you a call is. I'd love to learn a bit about your property on Linden Drive and get you an offer." And that's the thing. This is kind of like a learning lesson for me. I don't want to just assume that these people are playing with me at the same time. Um, so like, for all I know, Ramiro was serious yesterday, and he really does want to sell. And when I called him just now, he was just in the middle of an important meeting, or he was at work and didn't, his phone was on loud. And when I was calling, he had to quickly end it. So you never want to just like paint the picture yourself. So that's why I texted him saying that, like, "Hey, I'd love to learn a bit about your property." Um, but then I'm gonna try him back, I think, tomorrow, and then if I don't get him, then I'm gonna place him in a different follow up sequence via text. So I mentioned this a couple minutes ago, but I have different follow up campaigns as opposed to just my general campaign that kicks everything off. Depending on their either level of interest or how far along the process we've gotten, me and the seller, I will place them in a different campaign. So, one campaign will be they're interested, but not right now. Another one is they're interested and I've made them an offer, but they haven't accepted. Another one is, I've made them an offer. You get the point. There's different phases of the process, and depending on where they're at or where we are at in that process, I will drop them into a different text campaign. That's if I want it to be them to be texted for. So for somebody like this, I don't mind just throwing him into a different follow up sequence to get texted every so often because um, I'm still leaning on the side of this guy probably just playing with me. So I don't want to waste my time manually following up with him. But for somebody like Marilyn, who we've come to a verbal agreement, I'm going to do the manual follow up. I don't want for now. But tomorrow, if I don't get a hold of her, then maybe I'll place her into a follow up sequence where she gets texted every so often, just so that I don't have to manually be following up with her because I know that she gets my text. That's how I generated this lead to begin with. So I don't have a problem with keeping in touch with her automatically through text. Let's see if I have anybody else to follow up with through text today. No, it doesn't look like it. I want to keep that open. I'm going to open up my dialer, see if I have anybody to follow up with there. I know I do because I pulled this up this morning. Under events, today's events. All right. Alberto, he said maybe in the future. Back in June, when asked how long, he said probably a few years. So I'm giving him I'm on a 6-month follow up with him right now. He said, "I'll save your number and you'll be the first one I call." I tried him 2 weeks ago. He did not answer, and I did not leave him a voicemail. So I'm gonna give him a call now, see if he's given it any more thought. Alberto is this gentleman's name. I have 2 phone numbers here. I didn't do a very good job of bringing the data over from my old dialer. So, like, I didn't indicate which phone number is the primary phone number or anything like that.
Su llamada ha sido
So, like,
transferida a un sistema de mensajes de voz automatizada. 2819.
make sure I dialed that correctly. Yeah. Oh, I can just call him right here too.
Llamada ha sido transferida.
That's what I'm gonna do for these follow-ups. No contact, and then now I can just quickly call the second number. Boom, that's fire.
Leave your message for 713 2 1.
I'm not gonna leave a voicemail. Create note. Tried both numbers. No answer. Did not leave voicemail. This is out another 2 weeks. Bi-weekly follow-up. If no answer on 12/15/21, push out monthly. All right. B. Hartley. Asked for a callback in a year to a year and a half. That was back in June. Again, I'm hitting him on a 6-month follow-up. Just cutting that time in half. Really no issue to call him in 6 months when he tells me to call him in a year. I'd prefer it because you never know, if their circumstances have changed, if their level of interest has increased, you just never know. So let me give same thing. I don't know which number I'm calling here, so I'm just gonna try them all.
I'm sorry, but the person you called has a voice mailbox that has not been set up yet. Goodbye.
And as I'm pulling him up too, I mean, I'll entertain the conversation, but this guy owns a number of properties. Looks like maybe brothers or Billy and Tyrone Hartley own total 15 properties. Some townhouses, some vacant land, a majority of them single families. I just don't, to be quite honest. People like this um, likely aren't going to want to sell for a discount. You never know, though. I mean, it's just a little bit more rare. It's not low hanging fruit. These people would want to, in my opinion, you'd have to catch them when they're wanting to liquidate their entire portfolio. Or dump one property, but again, the chances of that being the case are pretty slim. Um, they own these properties free and clear. It just depends on their business model, I guess, like how they're wanting to dump these properties. Any like savvy investor, in my opinion, is probably going to do what they can, use the resources that they have at their disposal to get the most for their property. They're obviously they own 15 properties. They know what they're doing. So in my head, those type of people, again, you hear people talk about closing deals off these type of people and people liquidating their entire portfolio. 10 property portfolio that they wholesale to this person, but I don't know. To me, it's just not very enticing. I'll give voicemail, but again, I'll continue following up with them. Answer in next 2 attempts. Push out. Right, Roy caught him while he was at dinner. Oh, this is the gentleman I spoke with yesterday. He was like, "Oh, I'm at dinner." He's like, "I'll get back to you." This is just, again, me not letting up. This is me being relentless with the follow ups. He very well could have just said that to dismiss me politely, although I could care one way less one way or another. You'll find that people do that too. Like they don't want to be rude and just tell you, no, I'm not interested in selling. Stop calling me. They'd rather be passive about it and say, you caught me in the middle of something. I'll call you back, expecting me to just sit there by my phone and wait for him to call me back forever. It's like, no, I'm gonna call you back. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. He told me he was at dinner last night and that I caught him at a bad time. Now I'm calling him at midday, noon. So he can't use that excuse again. He's going to have to tell me one way or another if he's interested in selling. Because again, I do believe that he kind of was just trying to dismiss me. I can see what number I called him on to. This number. Let me make sure that he's not some type of player in the game as well. No. Owner occupied. He's owned it for about 4.5 years. 199 estimated value on PropStream. The Zestimate is 165. So I bet ARV may be somewhere close to that PropStream estimate. I'm finding that that's the case. It's usually pretty similar, ARV and the PropStream estimate. Just pulling out my script just in case anybody does answer. Freestyling. Give him a call. No answer. I'm gonna try him. I'm gonna try him every day for the end of the week till the end of the week. Dial, no answer, no opportunity to leave voicemail. Calendar events. Daily follow up till end of week. If no response, push out weekly. Again, in this case, I'm under the assumption that he does want to sell. Well, I'm actually not under that assumption, but this is what I'm telling myself is that he does want to sell, and that's why he didn't tell me that he was not interested yesterday. So that's why I'm following up with him as aggressively as I am. Because again, he didn't tell me that he was not interested. So I'm going to operate under the assumption that he is interested and that I just caught him at a bad time last night when he was sitting down for dinner. So that's why I'm following up with him every day for the rest of the week. All right, now this guy, Terry is his name. This was somebody who back in the day, as if I've been doing this forever, probably like 6 months ago, beginning of this year, my partner was actually working this lead. So much so that we came to a verbal agreement and we actually sent somebody out to the property. So I'm fairly certain I already have pictures of this property. We paid somebody to show up, meet with the tenant, take pictures. The place is a complete gut. It's going to be a gut remodel. They got to tear it down to the studs. But for some reason, he's under the impression that it's not that. And every time it was really weird. This guy, I've never personally talked to him because my partner was working this lead, but it seemed like they would come to an agreement at like 62,000, I think is what the agreement was for. But then he would like catch him on a different day and he'd be like, oh yeah, I need at least 100. And it's like, well, you're not going to get anywhere close to that. Here's my notes: property walkthrough, electrical problem, fire. Year 4 years. There's a fire in the property 4 years ago. Extensive roof damage, rotten wood, damaged siding. He wants 80K. Most of the wood flooring in the house looks good, but the flooring in the kitchen is warped. Foundation issues could exist. There's some type of hole underneath the house. Electrical needs to get redone. There were several extension cords being used because there weren't enough outlets. This is an interesting note that my property specialist made. Could be the reason for the blackouts. No insulation, no central AC, 8-year-old water heater, roof, walls, floor need a lot of work, possibly structural issue. Windows, bathroom, and kitchen need a complete rehab. So, I mean, he was really, my old property specialist, Gabe is his name. He was very detailed, which is much appreciated. But essentially, what that note says is it's a full rehab. Um, Roof needs to be replaced, possible foundation, AC needs to be installed, kitchen, bathrooms need to be renovated, carpet, everything needs to go, and it needs to be completely gutted. So, never talked to this gentleman myself, but it seemed very bizarre just based off of how he was interacting with my partner. Like he couldn't make up his mind, and he had unrealistic expectations, in my opinion. So pulling him up on Zillow, seeing what the Zestimate is, as well as PropStream. Okay, Zestimate on Zillow is 116, almost 117. 167 is estimated value on PropStream. This guy's owned it for about 6.5 years. He owns 3 properties. He does not live in this one. Let's run some. I'm gonna run some quick comps just to get a general idea of what I'm gonna be working with, because again, we've already kind of gone through everything with this guy. And when I mention my partner's name, he might just be like, "Oh yeah, like he offered this," or whatever the case was, because I don't really have that note either. So 1700, 1710. Built in 1955. I'll make the minimum 45, maximum 65. Single family residentials in a half mile gives me 0 properties. So let me, which is expected in this area. It's pretty rural. So we'll push it out a mile. That gives me 3 properties. Um, I'm going to push it back a year, give me some more data. Okay, so I got 1 property that I might be able to use. Not really though, but let's check it out. Ours is 8,400 square feet. 160, 165. I don't even know how many bedrooms this is. I mean, yeah, this one's difficult to comp. I'm just gonna give him a call and see how the conversation goes, and if he seems interested at all, then I will set a follow up call. I'm not gonna try to lock him up on the phone right now. Um, and then I'll run some comps a little bit more, like specifically on Redfin or something if he's interested. No contact. I'm gonna try. I got 3 numbers here for him. I'm gonna try the second one right now. No, it wasn't ringing. Help me with comps on 917. I got you. Let me pull it up. Let me try this guy's third number real quick, and then I'll help you with that. Wrong number. That should delete that off the list. It should. Notes. Dialed all numbers. No opportunity to leave voicemail. Calendar events. Bi-weekly. No response. 5:15. Push out one. All right, let's take a look. Emerson. All right. This person here does own 23 properties. So again, something to be wary of and consider. You're not dealing with some green bean. This is somebody who's been around the block. They've owned this property for almost 11 years. 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,463 square feet, 9,500 square feet on the lot, and it's built in 57. Let's see what the activity in the area is like. 170, about 176 properties. Let's take a look at the Zestimate, see what that tells us. Zestimate tells us 161, so those aren't too far off. Yeah, it looks like he bought this place back in '07 maybe, or a little after that. All right, so let's see. Show me residential single family properties within a half mile that sold within the last year, built between 19, I'll say, I'll just do 10 years, 1947 to 1967, that are in between square footage of, I'll say 1,200 and 17. All right. That gives me 15 properties, so there's a good amount of activity in the area. This home, however, is located kind of like right in the middle of a downtown area. So let's see if we can get anything in the same subdivision. It doesn't look like it, but that's okay. Let's take a look at these ones that are right. I'm looking at this major road here. That's just north of it, the property, and there's like comps, a bunch of comps right north of it, but I'm just not sure if those can be used. I mean, I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, those are the closest ones anyway. So let's take a look at 1, 2, and 5. I mean, these are all in the same zip code, but it's not the best way to look at things. Let's see. 1, 2, and 5. 1 is about 2,000 square foot smaller lot, 100 square feet smaller on the house. This one sold 168 back in April with one less bathroom. So ours could probably sell 178. But again, oh yeah, and ours has an extra 150 square feet on the house. So what is that? 168, 178. We can call it 190. And then again, about 2,000 square feet bigger on the lot and 2 years bigger, newer build. So I don't, to play conservative, I would just probably keep that at 190 for now. Let's write that down. 190. This is ARV. Two. Oh, these all have pictures too. So this one that I was just looking at is a flip, brand new remodel. So that's good. Number two, let me pull up these pictures. This one sold as is, but it is very nice. For sure, rent ready. This one I'm looking at is 749 Grice Street. Um, he has another property that I originally called about that he has renters that have been there for like 13 years and said they'll be out in like a month or two. Then he told me he was also selling that Emerson one I asked you to comp right now, but I'm like, yeah, about that one. The original one with renters would be better since it would need a lot of work. He said someone offered 150 and he didn't accept. He wanted like 160, 70 for this one on Emerson or the other one. 160, 170 is not going to work for this one. Well, it would if he wants to list it on market and walk away with that, but that's too high for this. Taking a look at this other 4-2. This one sold for 127 back in February. Um, Ours has one less bedroom, so ours could sell for 117. About the same square footage, and ours has about 800 square feet bigger on the lot. 2 years newer build, so I'd call it 120, 120 as is. Um, so 190. I have one that went for 190. One that would justify ours going for 190 that sold back in April, full flip. And then I have one that went as is, but really nice condition for, justifying ours going for maybe 120, probably higher though, because that one was sold almost a year ago. And with the appreciation that the market's seen. But that's a good example right there of one that went as is. Let's take a look at this one. 181. This sold about a year ago. Same bed, same bath. Ours has about 250 more square feet. So say ours could sell for over let's just call it 200, 205. But this one's lot is way bigger. It's no longer a comp. The lot's almost twice as big. 177. Oh, these are sitting on market for almost a year. I'd call it something like, one, maybe 190 max ARV, maybe, something a little bit less to be conservative. For the Emerson one, he was saying he was doing work to the add-on, which is what the garage used to be. So there's no garage. See, that's all the other type of stuff that you want to. But he's asking 160 for this property because if so, it's out of the question for a cash offer. It's gonna go for. It'll probably go for like 190, fully fixed up, and I'm talking brand spanking new, like HGTV, all white kitchens, white walls, nice flooring, like everything. Probably go for about 190 as a cash offer. In my market, I'm not sure about Waco, what type of profit buyers expect. But in my market, I would be offering him like max 145 less repairs. And max based on what I'm seeing just very quickly. But how big is this place too? Under 1,500 square feet, so any type of renovation isn't going to be too expensive. It looks to be a pretty nice place. Let's just say if it was an average renovation, meaning like the kitchen and the bathrooms need to be redone. I mean, again, the only way it's going to get 190 is if it looks like this other one. And let me get that address for you. Take a look at this property right here. Take a look at that one, and you can pull it up on maybe Zillow or wherever on the MLS, and you can see the pictures. And honestly, just looking at that property and compare it to yours. Again, this one has one less bath, 100 less square feet, almost 2,000 smaller square foot lot, and 2 years older. And that one sold for 168 back in April. So I think ours could probably push maybe even 200 to be quite honest. But at that point, then you're just speculating and you're kind of like guessing because there's no comps to justify it, which is the last thing that you want to do, right? You don't want to say, well, the market's been going up and it's been 8 months since this property last sold. So I think that my property could sell for this. Yeah, that's the last thing you want to do. You don't want to speculate. You want to look at a comp and say, this one's sold for this. So I think mine can sell for this. You never want to like start guessing. But take a look at that property right there. I think that's the best bet. That one is zero point 0.2 miles away. Um, Given all those other things, again, I think that you'd probably be looking at like probably something just north of 100,000 on a cash offer for that property there. Can you also comp this one? I comped it, but I just want to make sure I'm right on the numbers. Let me take a look real quick. This is in Waco too. Yeah, Waco. So this one looks like it may have been listed at one point for either sale or rent because it does have pictures attached. Let me pull it up on Zillow and see what type of price history we're working with to see why there's pictures up here. So it was listed last year for 120,000. And this is stuff that's really important because this is going to paint you a picture of why they're probably selling, what their expectations are, at least what their expectations are. So these people listed it. They listed it for sale back in August of 2020 for 120,000, and the listing got removed about 3 months later. Let's see if it did in fact sell or yeah. So I mean, somebody just bought this property. Somebody just bought this property a year ago. They've only owned it for a year and 2 months, and they bought it for 121,000. So I'd be before I even comp it, I'd be interested to know what the story is and if this is in fact a lead that's saying that they want to sell, or are they just wanting an offer because it's owner occupied. So whoever just bought this a year ago lives here, and to me, it would be really strange. It would have to be pretty extreme circumstances. I think that somebody would want to sell the property that they just bought a year ago that they live in themselves, and it's not like another rental or something. So I'd be curious. I'll comp it, but based off of no, I'm not going to comp this. They still owe 116,000. I mean, they didn't even pay for it cash, so they don't own it outright. He said he wanted to sell it for 130. He said also the neighbors next door wanted to give him the land in the empty give him the land in the empty lot next to it, so that would be included. And he doesn't live there; it's vacant. Okay, he wants 130 because he still owes 116 on it. Seems like he bought to do something with it, but never did. But okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Like, let's look at the pictures. Yeah, because the pictures are it's rent ready though. It's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. The bathrooms could use updating, but there's really no physical distress here. There's no condition issues. Um, to, and that's why I say to me, it's like it looks like he's just wanting to come up. He bought it for X. He wants to sell it for Y because he hasn't done anything to it. It's just sat there for a year. Um, he just wants to pay mortgage basically. Yeah, and the land next to it can fit a house or two. Also, I wouldn't even consider that lot there. If it's flipped, it would be even better. And the land next to it can fit a house or two. Also, his lot is pretty big. Um, yeah. So what you're kind of doing right here is what I would say to try to avoid doing is it's kind of going along the lines of what I was just saying and speculating and like stretching. You're stretching right now to try to make this deal work. But in all likelihood, this isn't a motivated seller. He's not motivated. He wants to profit. Um, and we're not always going to be able to help somebody who just wants to make a buck. If he wants to do, and this is where the education may come in, right? If he wants to make a buck, he's going to have to do the work himself. He can't just sit back and expect somebody to approach him and pay him what he wants. If you're gonna be approaching him, you're doing all the hard work in finding this person. Um, you don't want just any Joe Schmo who's sitting back like, yeah, I mean, I bought the property for 100 last year. If you can pay me 110 for it, I'll sell it to you. Because there's no motivation, and in all likelihood, if he bought it for 100, you won't be able to buy it for 110. Um, but let's comp it. Let's comp it. I just wanted to kind of preface that because there's a lot going on here, and I do, and I hope that you don't take this offensively. I do feel that you're stretching a little bit. I wouldn't even consider what he's talking about because now he's trying to sell you, right? He's trying to, oh, and my neighbor has this land, and you could build on it, and this and that, and I wouldn't even consider that. I would, unless that's set in stone and he actually owns that and he actually wants to, like, I don't know what he's talking about. His neighbor's gonna give him the lot, or let me know the comps though, because I estimated comps around 250K. If I'm right, then it could maybe work. It could definitely work if the comps are at 250. I don't imagine that they push that high, but let's take a look. Um, all right, half mile residential, single family, 1,536 square feet. I'll put the minimum at 1,300 for now, and maximum at 1,800. Year built 1938. Fairly old house. I'm gonna do minimum 1930, maximum 1950. That gives me 12 properties. Pretty good activity in this area. A couple in our exact subdivision. So let me narrow it down to that. So 3 properties that sold within the last year. Yeah, okay. His does sit on a double lot. That's for sure. Okay, and this one I'd imagine is probably one that you're looking at that's going to really push the values. So number 3 here is on the same street, a couple blocks down, same subdivision. This is a 3-2. Ours is a 2-2. This one sold for 235,000. It does have pictures. Let's take a look. I imagine that it is brand spanking new, which it is. Brand spanking new. So 235. That one went for. Ours has an extra or one less bed, so ours can maybe go for 225. Um, Ours has about 150 extra square feet. So let's say ours goes again for 240 maybe. And then ours has a double lot though. So it's kind of hard to comp it. You want something else that's sold on a double lot. But yeah, bro. I mean, I'd like, I guess, a little bit more. Let me get rid of this subdivision. I don't know why that one sold for so high when these other ones around it are selling for like 150. Uh, so let me take a look at some others in the area. Um, yeah, it's just really strange. Let's see if anything sold on a double lot. I'm gonna sort it by lot size. So this one um, did sell on a similar sized lot for 200 back in April. One extra bed, so ours could sell for 190. Theirs is 200 extra square feet. Ours could sell for 170. Ours is almost 10 years older. So, hmm, let's just see what sold for the most. This one's so 235 is the one that sold for the most, and that's the one that we were just looking at. Uh, I think ours could sell for 240 plus, 240 plus, depending on how much value you want to assign to that second lot. And it also depends on how the house is positioned on the lot. Because if it's like a house on a lot and then the lot right next door where you can build new construction, then that's a whole nother thing. But if it's a lot or a house that sits in the middle of 2 vacant lots, um, then it's a whole other. One sold right um, down the street. I'm imagining what you meant there for like 260 or 70, something like that. The one I found was 3 houses next to it, I think. Yeah, I think that's probably the one I'm looking at. This one sold for 235. That's that's the one that meets the parameters in my opinion. I mean, I can try to push like No, I don't even want to do that. I mean, I can go maybe max square feet like 1850, but anything more than that, you're not comparing apples to apples anymore. Let me go 10 years back in each direction. 1828 to 48. See what that number 12 looks like. 250 over on North 30th. Okay, this one may be one. This is a good one. So this one's one extra bed, which would make ours 240. It has about 250 extra square feet, which would make ours like 215. Similar size lot. Ours is only like 1,000 square feet bigger. When I say 215, and ours is 10 years newer, so you can probably call it 225. That one sold back in April too, assuming slight adjustment for appreciation. Maybe call it 230 to play it safe. You don't want to tack on too much for that. Let's look at this one. Sold 230. Yeah, this is the one that allows it to push the value, but it doesn't have a similar lot size, which is the only problem. Let's resort this now that I've changed. 200. Is that the one that we just looked at? No. So this one sold 200, one extra bed, 190, 200 extra square feet, 170, 10 years newer. Yeah. That one might have sold as is, though. There's a lot of activity, that's for sure. 250 is the one I just looked at. 219, one extra bed, call it 209, 100 extra square feet, call it 199. Ours lot is a little bit bigger, but theirs is a newer build. I'd call it like 200 back in March. I'd call ARV probably something north of 200, like 220, 225. I think that you are safe in calling it something like that. Honestly, I guess two is all right. What was that one with the one that's over 250? No, not that one. The one that's over 235 with a single lot. Just that one just sold last week with one extra bed. Call it 225. Ours has 200 extra square, 150 extra square feet. 225. Call it 240. Is that what I said? 240. Yeah, 240 with a double lot. So it could probably. I think you're right. I mean, this one's a little bizarre. I don't know why it sold for so much, but this one's on the same street, just a few blocks down. So this one sold for 235 with one extra bedroom, but 150 less square feet and only a single lot compared to our double lot. So 235, 240. If you really wanted to use that one, I would use the other ones. The one I found was 3,000, and some of the others didn't have garages. Well, okay, so does yours have a garage? I thought you said that he converted it. That's something else that I'm not looking at, but something else that does need to be considered. You need to consider whether or not they have garages, if they sit on a main street, if they have pools, if they have anything else that affects the value here. But I think if you it has two car garage. So I want to see this comp to see if it has a garage. It doesn't look like it. Garage type mixed is what it says. I would call it something like, I mean, again, personally, what I would do is I would use these lower comps to justify my offer price, because I don't want to rely on the outlier, that like high comp, because that one is an outlier. It's not really falling in line with the other recently sold properties. And the one that converted it was the previous guy that you comped. Okay, this is a different guy. Notice his has garages compared to the other comps, and also the lot was bigger than the others. Yeah, so garages will definitely affect the value. But just to finish my thought, like I'm just gonna read you these prices that have sold within the last year. Um, and you'll see what I'm talking about. I mean, 148, 158, 135, 120, 130, 200, 235, 219, 140, 122, 192, 250. So that 251 and that 235 one, um, the 235 one is the one that really is pushing our value because the 251 is much bigger in square footage. But even that one, I guess 250, Collar's 240, Collar's 225, Tender's newer. I call it 230. I call ARV 230 to play it safe, I guess. Um, in which case, I would be looking to offer like, depending on if let's just say you want a $10,000 assignment, I'd be looking to offer 178 less repairs. In this case, I mean, like, damn, I guess this market just went crazy. Seems like those lower comps weren't flipped though. Yeah, I'm also not looking at the pictures and stuff like that. The ones that I am pointing out, the ones that so I guess you're right. Let me just take a peek real quick at like something that is similar lot size that didn't go for so high, like this 135 that sold last year. Um, this one was as is 158 that sold last year. This one, not a flip, but definitely rent ready. Really nice condition. 122 that went back in March of this year, as is. So you're right. I call it like 240. What did I say? 230, 240. I would look to offer something like 178 less repairs. Is that what I said? I'd call it 230 to be conservative, and uh, like 178 less repairs. Is that what I said? Yeah, 178 less repairs. Um, we have the benefit of being able to see the pictures as long as he hasn't like done anything to it. Looks a bit bizarre, but I think that it would just be an average renovation. May even want to market this to like a buy and hold. Yeah, he has 2-car garage. Yeah, man, I think this is a play actually. Um, a little over 1,500 square feet. I'd maybe just. How much did he want again? 130. I'd give it to him. Uh, how much did he want again? He said he wanted himself at 130. He said also the neighbor. Yeah, I mean, I'd give it to him. I tried to talk him off that number a little bit, but just for the sake of negotiating, because you don't want to just you don't want to insult the other person by not negotiating. This is, I guess, a teachable moment. This is something that they really hit home at my old job. Mortgage paid off. I would just be wary of that and be sure that that's the case, that he does own it free and clear. And prop stream it indicates that he owes 116,000. Um, so I mean, he if that's what he's saying, you got to take his word for it until you bring it to your title company and they actually run the title search. But yeah, I think this is a play, and I think that that's a reasonable asking price at 130. You've changed my mind. I meant he wants it paid off. Yeah, yeah. So I would mold the conversation around that. I would say, well, how much do you owe? And I'd love to be able to pay off your mortgage and maybe get you a little bit something on top. But unfortunately, I have to stick to my numbers. I can't just pay you above and beyond what the mortgage is if it doesn't make sense. So, like, what is the mortgage? That's actually part of my script. At the end, I say, now we can pay cash, but mortgage balance, unpaid taxes, liens, or anything like that would have to come out of your end. Would anything like that need to be paid off? In this case, it sounds like you guys already had that conversation. So I would say, like, do you have a rough idea of how much would need to be paid off? and he's going to say, oh, I think like 120, they're going to inflate it because they want, again, above and beyond that. And say, okay, so after we pay off that 120,000, how much would you want to walk away with? And he's going to say, well, 10,000, because it sounds like, again, you've already had this conversation. This may be for future reference, but it's okay. So you want 130 so that you can walk away with 10. Let me place on a quick hold. Let me get permission. Let me get approval for that. But it does 130 would probably work. Um, it sounds like work, and it's actually more and more sounding like a pretty smoking deal, to be quite honest. Again, this isn't my market. I'm not familiar with it. I don't know what buyers are expecting, but let's say you find a buyer that is willing to take like 25,000. Let's say that they're gonna put like 30,000 into it. It doesn't really look like it needs much work. Um, and you pay the seller 130, you could be looking at like a 25,000 plus assignment. So I would give them a call. I would try to work it. Don't make it sound too sweet. Don't make it seem too sweet. That's what the point of what I'm saying is. And that's what they really hit home at my old job was, um, there's etiquette. There's etiquette in negotiating. And if he says, yeah, I want 130, and it's a deal, you don't say, okay, let's sign it. Because he's going to get seller's remorse immediately, and he's going to think to himself, damn, I could have got more. And he's going to say, you know what? I changed my mind. Never mind. I don't want 130. I think I'm just going to hold on to it. So you can't make it seem too sweet. He's going to say 130, and you're going to say, 130. Yeah, exactly. So that's looking good though. That's looking good. Keep me updated on that one. That one's looking real good. Shoot, I might move over to Waco. And just know he bought it for 120, and that he looks like, I mean, if prop stream's accurate, he bought the place with like 5,000 out of pocket. Bought it for 121. So he's just looking to make a quick buck, which is cool. I'm not gonna call this woman because I got one more follow up that I wanted to hit, but I'm gonna call Marilyn back actually. No, I texted her. I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna kill it here. I'm gonna go. I gotta run out and get my day going. Man, yeah, keep me updated on that one though, Jared. That one's looking good. That one's looking real good, especially because of his situation. That's the only thing. That's the only thing is that his situation. He's gonna be firm. So don't not go up to his asking price. At the end of the day, you give him what he wants because it sounds like that's still gonna work. But like you're saying, just work up to his asking price slowly and make sure it doesn't sound too sweet. But like I said, I'm gonna end it there. I'm just kind of jumping in between softwares to make sure that I'm not missing anything, which I don't think I am. I've hit all my follow-ups through text, hit all my follow-ups through the dialer. If you're tapped in here, it looks like we have a handful of people in here. If you're in here, I would greatly appreciate it if you hit the like button. It'll help me out a lot, help grow the channel here. Subscribe if you're interested in this type of content. Today was kind of an odd one. I was expecting to get on the phone with somebody and lock up a contract, but she's dodging me, so all part of the game. It's all good. Going to continue following up with her as well as everybody else that I got that I'm following up with. I may or may not hop back on today, maybe later in the afternoon when I try giving her another call back. But if not, so I'll see you guys tomorrow when I hop back on live. Try to go live at least once a day, Monday through Friday, sometimes Saturdays, sometimes more than once. So again, would really love to see you guys in future live sessions here with me and Jared and anybody else who's jumped in. Jared was my partner in crime today, and everybody, if you're watching this after the fact, drop a comment with either some thumbs up, some fingers crossed, something for Jared to wish him luck on that one and negotiating with that seller, hoping that he can come on here in the near future into one of these live sessions and share with us that he's gotten that one locked up under contract. So appreciate you guys. Till the next one. Peace.